Welcome to episode 244 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by 17 Laws Guy. It's July 2nd, 2010. Johannesburg, Soccer City, Uruguay against Ghana. World Cup quarterfinal. It's 1-1. We're in injury time, or extra time. Ghana are one header away from becoming the first African team ever to reach the World Cup semi-final. Adiyiah heads toward goal. The ball is going in, but Luis Suárez, standing on the line, raises both hands and stops it. A deliberate handball, a red card, a penalty to Ghana. Asamoah Gyan steps up, slams the ball against the crossbar, and it flies over. Uruguay survive, and then Uruguay win the shootout, and Suárez handball becomes one of the most famous examples in football history of cheating that was seen, punished, and still paid off. But how did we get here? Start with Uruguay. Uruguay are one of football's founding powers. Olympic champions in 1924 and 28, World Cup winners in 30, Maracanazo winners in 1950, a tiny country with an enormous football self-image, garra, the old fighting spirit, survival, nerve, street wisdom, and refusal. But by 2010, Uruguay have spent decades away from the deepest World Cup stages. They haven't reached the semi-final since 1970. Now they have a new generation. Diego Forlán, Luis Suárez, Edinson Cavani, Diego Lugano, Diego Godin, Fernando Muslera, Maxi Pereira, Álvaro Pereira, and Sebastián Abreu. The coach is Oscar Tabarez, El Maestro, rebuilding not just a team, but a culture. Uruguay win their group, 0-0 against France, 3-0 against South Africa, and 1-0 against Mexico. Then Suárez scores twice against South Korea in the round of 16. Uruguay are back in a World Cup quarterfinal. Now Ghana. This is the first World Cup on African soil, South Africa 2010. By the quarterfinal stage, Ghana are carrying more than themselves. They're carrying the host continent's last hope. Ghana's football history is serious. The Black Stars had won the Africa Cup of Nations 4 times. They had produced players like Osei Kofi, Abedi Pele, Tony Yeboah, Michael Essien, and Stephen Appiah. Their youth teams had been outstanding, and in 2009, Ghana won the Under-20 World Cup. At senior World Cup level, Ghana had debuted only in 2006, but immediately reached the round of 16. In 2010, they are strong, young, physical, and brave. Asamoah Gyan, Kevin Prince Boateng, Andre Ayew, Kwadwo Asamoah, Solly Muntari, John Mensah, John Paintsil, and Richard Kingson. They beat Serbia 1-0, draw 1-1 with Australia, lose narrowly 1-0 to Germany, then beat the United States 2-1 after extra time, with Gyan scoring the winner. Ghana are the third African team to reach a World Cup quarterfinal after Cameroon in 1990 and Senegal in 2002. Now they want to go one step further. So July 2nd, Soccer City. Referee is Olegário Benquerença of Portugal. The first half is tense. Then, just before halftime, Ghana strike. Solly Muntari shoots from distance. The ball swerves, flies, and surprises Muslera. Ghana 1, Uruguay 0. An African semi-final is now visible, but Uruguay answer. 55th minute. Diego Forlán takes a free kick. The Jabulani ball moves viciously. Richard Kingson is beaten. 1-1. The match stretches. Both teams tire. Both teams miss chances. Uruguay lose Lugano to injury. Ghana push, but into extra time we go. Still 1-1. 120 minutes already gone. We're in overtime of extra time. One last free kick for Ghana. The ball is launched into the Uruguay area. Chaos. Stephen Appiah has a shot blocked near the line. The ball comes back. Dominique Adiyiah heads it toward goal. This time it's going in. Suárez is on the line. First instinct, maybe goalkeeper. Second instinct, country. He uses his hands. Not accidental, not ball to hand, not natural position. No, he saves it like a goalkeeper. Now, because this is 17 Laws Guy, we need to get the law right. A deliberate handball is a handball offense. The law doesn't say that every touch of hand or arm is handball. It matters whether the player deliberately touches the ball, makes the body unnaturally bigger, or scores with a hand or arm. But Suárez is the easy case. He deliberately touches the ball with his hands, inside his own penalty area, to stop a goal. That means penalty kick. And because he denies the opposing team a goal by committing a deliberate handball offense, that means red card. The referee doesn't need a seminar. Penalty. Red. Correct. Even if Suárez first pretended with a gesture to be surprised he was sent off. Because there's also the moral language. Bringing the game into disrepute, showing a lack of respect for the game, unsporting behavior. Referees and disciplinary bodies use those ideas in different contexts. Each referee has to judge the nature of the misconduct. But here, the key point is simpler. The laws had an answer. The answer was, Suárez goes off, Ghana get a penalty. But the laws didn't guarantee was a goal. And that is the whole story. Suárez walks off. Gyan places the ball. This is not a shootout penalty. This is the last kick essentially of the match. Score, and Ghana are in the semi-final. He runs up. He hits it hard. The ball smashes against the crossbar and flies over. Suárez, who has been sent off, sees it from near the tunnel and celebrates. His act has paid off. Now penalties. Gyan goes first for Ghana. This is one of the bravest details in World Cup history. A minute after missing the biggest penalty in African football history, he takes another. This time, he scores. But Uruguay hold their nerve. Muslera saves from John Mensah, then from Adiyiah. Maxi Pereira misses for Uruguay, but Sebastián, El Loco, Abreu, has the final kick. He chips it. A Panenka. And if you need a reminder what a Panenka is, go back to episode 232 2 weeks ago. But here, in Johannesburg on this day in 2010, Uruguay win 4-2 on penalties. Ghana are out. Uruguay are in the semi-final. And Suárez becomes villain, hero, cheat, patriot, depending where you're standing. But so what? Ghana lose more than a match. They lose a continental first. Cameroon had come close in 1990, Senegal in 2002. Ghana in 2010 were closer than both. One header, one hand, one penalty, one crossbar. That is why the wound still lives. For Ghana and for much of Africa, this was not simply a missed chance. It felt like a theft, even though the referees saw the crime and punished it. That is the paradox. Suárez becomes Suárez in the global imagination. He was already a brilliant forward, Ajax star, soon to move to Liverpool, later Barcelona, one of the best strikers of his generation. But this moment adds the darker outline. He says afterward that he made the save of the tournament. He says in effect that the hand of God now belongs to him. If you want to get the context of that reference, listen to episode 234 about Diego Maradona. Uruguay's defense is simple. He broke the law, he was punished. Ghana had the opportunity of winning by converting the penalty, but they missed. And there's truth in that. The laws were applied, but there's also truth in Ghana's fury, because the original chance was almost certain a goal. The punishment replaced certainty with probability. A goal became a penalty. A penalty can be missed. Suárez understood that exchange in one desperate second. And of course, this belongs in the handball gallery. Maradona in 1986, the hand of God, different case. That goal was illegal and shouldn't have stood, but the officials didn't see it, and there was no VAR back then. Argentina benefited because the offense was missed. Thierry Henry in 2009, France against Ireland in the World Cup playoff. Henry handles before setting up William Gallas. The officials don't see it. France go to the World Cup. Ireland rage. FIFA later says there's no legal foundation to punish Henry individually because the offense was missed and the disciplinary code didn't cover that kind of handball as a serious infringement. Thorsten Franks in 2002, Germany against the United States. A goal line handball claim not given. Germany survive. Those are missed offense controversies. Suárez is different. His offense was seen. That makes it legally cleaner and morally stranger. It is not the injustice of the referee failing. It is the discomfort of the law working and still not restoring what was lost. Did it change the laws? Not directly. There was no Suárez rule. Football didn't create a penalty goal like rugby's penalty try. That is the big what if. Should football have a rule that says if a player deliberately handles on the line to stop a certain goal, then award the goal? The game has resisted that. And why? Because football is cautious about certainty. Was the ball definitely going in? Was there a defender? Was the goalkeeper beaten? Would it cross the line? Referees already have enough judgments to make under pressure. So the law stays with the traditional remedy, penalty, red card, suspension, and the risk remains. In most minutes of most matches, that punishment is severe, but in the last second of extra time, it becomes a gamble, a rational gamble, an ugly gamble, a winning gamble. Technology changes the surrounding world. Goal line technology arrives at the World Cup in 2014. VAR arrives in 2018. Maradona's hand wouldn't survive VAR. Henry's hand would not survive VAR. Suarez's hand didn't need VAR because everyone saw it. That is why this moment is still different. Technology can catch cheating. It cannot always make the punishment feel equal to the crime. Uruguay then lost 3-2 to the Netherlands in the semi-final, with Suarez suspended. Then they lose 3-2 to Germany in the third-place playoff, but finish fourth, their best World Cup since 1970. Ghana go home heartbroken, but proud. Gyan's courage is taking and scoring the first shootout penalty becomes part of his story too. He will be abused for the miss for years, but later says he doesn't hate Suarez. He even says he would have done the same for his country. That may be the final truth. Most players in Suarez's position probably handle the ball. Most fans, if it is their country, probably forgive it. Most fans, if it's done against them, never do. Before we go, 3 things to take away from July 2nd, 2010. First, the referee got the law right. Suarez deliberately handled to deny a goal. Penalty to Ghana, red card to Suarez. That is Law 12, doing its job. Second, the laws can be correct and still feel incomplete. Ghana lost a near-certain goal and received a penalty. When Gyan hit the bar, the punishment failed to restore the damage. And third, Suarez's handball endures because it forces football to admit something uncomfortable. Sometimes the cynical choice is illegal, punished, morally ugly, but still smart. On this day in 2010, Luis Suárez used his hands on the goal line. Asamoah Gyan hit the crossbar. Uruguay beat Ghana on penalties, and one deliberate handball became one of the most painful almosts in World Cup history. That is all for episode 244 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by 17 Lost Guy. Please help me and the algorithm push the show in front of more people by rating it 5 stars and sharing it with your friends. Tomorrow, go to July 3rd, 2018, Colombia against England, a penalty shootout. That is English trauma, or it used to be, because on this night, England finally won one. You don't want to miss this story.